What's happening, y'all? Welcome inside the Fantasy Stock Exchange. Tyler and Bush coming at you with Black Monday. This is our week 2 recap show. We got a lot to talk about here. We got a lot of takes gone wrong from my part, a couple takes that went right, a lot of bad injuries that are going to affect a lot of people going forward. So this Black Monday might be especially dreary for some of those people that took, I don't know, let's say Saquon Barkley second overall in their draft. So, Tyler, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great because every single draft I was in, I picked in the later slots of the draft. So I got my turn pick running backs that have been disappointing me instead of guys just getting hurt for the rest of the year. So yeah, I'm okay with Joe Mixon putting up 8 points every week if he's on the field. Oh, boom, roasted.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. So we're going to hit the intro and then we're going to get into the first game. All right. So I teased it already, but Chicago Bears 17, New York Giants 13. The obvious and biggest story of this game is the fact that Saquon Barkley, we believe, has torn his ACL. It hasn't officially come out yet. I believe he's getting an MRI tomorrow, which would be Monday, as of the time we're recording this, to say whether or not it's happened or not. But usually when teams say, like, we fear that he tore his ACL, it's usually what happens. So, let's from the Giants running back perspective, I think Dion Lewis is probably the guy to own going forward. I'm not exactly excited about it, though. I'm not going to say blow $60 a fab on him because I think he's going to be – I don't know if it's going to be like a committee situation, but they might just like not be that effective because it's still a bad like a relatively bad offense, relatively bad offensive line. What are your thoughts on the Giants backfield?
They just have Deion Lewis. No one else got a rushing attempt in this game, so maybe they'll pick up someone. I'm looking at a team that may go get Devontae Freeman. Just saying.
Yeah.
But this was a battle of two non-playoff teams. It was a game that I wasn't really excited to watch. Yeah, Bears are 2-0. Get excited. They beat two really bad teams that also won't be making the playoffs. That surprise, both had top 5 picks in the last draft, and surprise, both will have top 5 picks in this upcoming draft. So I am not taking Bears wins right now seriously. So that's my thought on the overall game. My thought on the running back situation for the Giants is please, in your leagues, if you have a guy that's sitting with a lot of fab, start hyping up Dion Lewis. Start saying, oh my gosh, Dion Lewis is going to be legit because they're going to pour a lot of money into him and they're going to be disappointed because what Saquon does for this team is a remarkably larger amount than anyone can ever see. He basically carries the offense. He takes a lot of pressure off of Daniel Jones. And when he left, there was issues moving the ball, and they had a little bit a spark towards the end, but I kind of count that to Gas Bears defense and the need to do something. Nothing ever came to fruition. Giants did go down in this one, and this team's going to have some offensive issues. I would openly look to move any of the wide receivers, potentially Evan Ingram, any guy that has even a close to small bit amount of value right now because they're going to start to lose value incredibly. And I mean, they're just going to play pass. I mean, they're just going to play pass. Teams are going to come into this team, and they're not going to take Dion Lewis, a pass catching back, an old pass catching back, seriously as a running threat. So this is more than just Saquon going down. It's the entire offense going down, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of harsh to say this in week 2, but your season's done, New York Giants. Like, I'm sorry to say, like, if Saquon's out for the whole year, your season is done. And I'm not sure you were going to make the playoffs anyway. You probably would have been like a 6-7 win team. But I mean, and it's hard to say this for any team that a running back is your entire offense, but he's your entire offense. And him being done means your team is probably winning 4 or 5 games at most. So I'm not going to sell Darius Slayton because I still think Darius Slayton of all the pieces on offense is the best one to own. I think Daniel Jones takes a significant hit though. As far as some people thought he'd be like this breakout like fantasy star or whatever, I don't think that happens without Saquon in the backfield taking off a lot of pressure for him and keeping him efficient. Speaking of the quarterbacks in this game, neither of whom registered over an 80 quarterback rating. They were not good. Mitch Trubisky looked pretty bad. Two picks, 2 touchdowns, 190 yards. Wasn't terrible for fantasy, but wasn't great from a real life NFL perspective. Daniel Jones wasn't good in this game. I don't think anyone was starting him against the Bears defense, but I did say he might be a sneaky DFS play because no one's going to start him. But as far as the Chicago side of things, David Montgomery left this game with, I don't even remember what the injury was. I believe it was it was a lower body injury, I think.
It was an ankle. He
Yeah.
came back though, so.
Yeah, he came back, had a pretty good game, 16 carries for 82 yards, also had a 3 receptions for 45 yards and a 28-yard touchdown, I believe was and he looked really good on that touchdown that he had. So Montgomery, that's a good bounce back game for him. I think he's probably like a mid RB2 going forward, to be honest. Like he looked actually really good in this game.
Yeah, I kind of expected this. I think this was a very easy team to do that to. Montgomery, this was actually, perfect situation. He was hurt last week. The first team you're coming back to is was he hurt last week? I'm sorry. There's so many injuries.
I think he might have been limited, like as far as his snap count went, but he wasn't actually he did play like last game.
Okay, so yeah, he was limited. So the first game that he's kind of taking more full workload was a really, really easy matchup and was kind of given a chance for him to be successful with it. So yeah, he was averaging over 5 a carry. He looked good in the receiving work. We weren't seeing a Tariq Cohen complete takeover of all receiving work. Yeah, he's a really solid RB2, a guy I want to start as an RB2, a guy who I'm not asking when FFC goes live, hey, should I be starting David Montgomery? You don't have to worry about that. Put him in your lineup. He looked pretty good. Upcoming schedule could change that, but I think this was a really good chance for him to succeed here. So, yeah, I was really happy with David Montgomery. As far as the quarterback situation, yeah, both were pretty terrible. Mitch had a really good week last week, which never happens back-to-back for this guy because he is a good quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
He bothers the Lions. That happens every year. He always plays well against the Lions. As far as the number one receivers on both teams, Allen Robinson and Darius Slayton didn't really have the greatest games. I think that was a product of bad quarterback play, if anything. Because Allen Robinson still had 9 targets. He only caught 3 of them for 33 yards. I think just Trubisky just had a shit game, and that's why he did terrible. So let's get off this game. It wasn't very high.
Yeah,
final
anyway. 17-13 for 2 non-playoff teams. Said at the beginning, I'll say it now.
Yeah, and so this game definitely had a lot more fantasy production in it, and that's the Falcons and Cowboys. The Cowboys with an pretty remarkable ending to the game. They got an onside kick recovery and ended up sealing this one with a Greg Sirline field goal. 40-39 was the final score. Just a boatload of fantasy production in this game. Dak Prescott, 450 yards passing, a touchdown. I believe he had 3 rushing touchdowns in this game too. Just bonkers stat line for Prescott if you had him in fantasy.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys that seriously capitalized off of this whole game, which we were expecting. If you thought at all that there would be defense played in this game with a banged up linebacking crew for the Cowboys and really weak and young corners for them, and then the Falcons who have really weak and young corners and no linebacker, it's just they're the same defense. Cowboys a little bit better, sure. Suck yourself off. You gave up 39 points. What I want to take from this game is the Cowboys were supposed to win this game, and they got lucky and ended up getting a dub.
And about halfway through the second quarter, they were supposed to lose this game.
Yeah.
And get blown out, might I add.
So I'm getting a lot of heat on Twitter about, wow, why aren't you giving them credit? You should have won this game. This shouldn't have been hard for you. You should have taken care of business and moved on. You should have been playing what Seattle was doing last week, where it's just, oh, yeah, they're throwing up some garbage time points at the end, but they're not going to win this game. We're not taking them seriously. That's what this should have been. There shouldn't have been a comeback from behind. That's where I have concern for Dallas going forward, non-fantasy purposes, but just a concern for the team because it's the Falcons doing this, and that means the good teams are going to take care of you. We saw the Rams do it last week. That's concerning. You can't let the Falcons do that to you, get out big, get you on turnovers all the time.
Yeah.
Good teams aren't going to let you win. The Falcons will because it's the Falcons. The Dolphins, teams like that, they're going to let you take these games, but good teams aren't. That's why I kind of see this team struggling. They're going to have a lot of ups and downs. So, have your celebratory win. Congratulations. You beat a team whose coach won't be there in 3 weeks. You beat a team who probably have a top 10 pick again. It's just not – I'm not impressed because they came back with this. I mean, sure, it was fun and all, but these aren't 2 playoff teams. This kind of was disappointing.
This is a 7 win at max, like Falcons team.
Yeah.
And if the wheels fall off and they fire their coach, this is like a 4-win team.
They won't have a coach at the end of the season.
But their passing game is good enough, I think, to get them to like 7-8 wins and be a little feisty at the end of the season, knock off some good teams. like they did last year with beating the Niners and the Saints late in the season. Zeke Elliott, I don't really feel like we need to talk about him. He did exactly what everyone expected him to do. 7 targets in the receiving game. Had a couple receptions for 33 yards, 22 carries, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Everyone kind of expected him to go wild in this game. The big story to me is in the Dallas receiving core, CeeDee Lamb with 9 targets, 6 receptions, 106 yards. And he looked like their best receiver. Amari Cooper had a nice play downfield, but CeeDee Lamb looked like their best receiver. And I think with Gallup kind of being the one who had the down game in this one, it's going to happen every week, I think. I think one of these guys, Cooper, Lamb, or Gallup, is going to disappoint every week, unless it's just an absolute bonanza of passing, which this one was, and they still had one guy.
Now seeing the situation where if everything goes right and the offense is rolling, it's still you can't have 3 effective guys.
Dalton Schultz with 10 targets, 9 receptions, and 88 yards and a touchdown is interesting because, I mean, he kind of did what everyone thought Blake Jarwin was going to be doing. So, I mean, maybe Dalton Schultz is people, at least from my perspective, I wrote off the tight end position from as soon as Jarwin got injured. But maybe Schultz is a guy that you can stream week over week. And yeah, like I said, I think someone is going to disappoint you. Likely it'll probably be Schultz or Lamb or Gallup or Cooper because he's pretty inconsistent as well.
Yeah,
one of these guys is going to disappoint you week over week. On the other side of the ball, though, man, Calvin Ridley is so good.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to be what Godwin was. I'm certain of it. After seeing this game, and I saw a lot of it, he's going to be what Godwin was, where there's already that set one, but there's a dark horse like last year Godwin was. He could seriously be a top 5 at the end of the year, and I would not be surprised. He's got to be 1 right now.
He's got 4 touchdowns?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's what Godwin it was last year. I mean, seriously, this is an offense that will support 2 solid wide receivers. And what we're seeing now is that they have no problem supporting a third because they
supported 3 pass catching options, and none of them were Julio Jones this week.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I mean, it is what we're seeing with their passing offense is what we thought we were going to see with Dallas. But what we failed to realize is which team actually has a legitimate running back. That's Dallas. Dallas is giving volume to Zeke. We're not giving volume to Gurley because it's just not effective. It just doesn't work. 2.9 on 21 carries. That's just going to keep decreasing. They're going to realize, fuck it, we can't run. And that's only because they had the lead for so long. So, yeah, I mean, this is a situation where, you know what, I'm not going to get mad at you if you want to start Russell Gage. Because this is back-to-back weeks where he's put up at least six receptions. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, and I said this last week when Hayden Hurst had the down week and it's basically the same thing for both of these teams. Each team has 4 viable weapons in the passing game, not that aren't their running backs, and one of them is going to disappoint you. This week it was surprisingly Julio Jones, but for the Falcons. But I think on most weeks it's going to be either Gage or Hurst. What I'm certain about is I don't think it's going to be Ridley as often as I thought it would be.
Ridley, if I'm given a lock to one guy never disappointing you, or, he'll have an 8-point game one time because he won't get in the end zone, but it's Ridley because every team is smart enough to cover Julio. Listen, they had Diggs locking him down all day. I'm sure what they did is they told Trayvon Diggs from Tuesday all the way to Saturday, watch like hours of Julio, like literally just you're going to be there. And if it fails, it's on your ass. So he did a good job. Julio was kind of shut down, but that's what every team's going to do. They're going to find their best corner, or in their eyes, their best, coverage man corner for Julio, and he's just going to be iced the whole game. And if there's a bad cornerback crew, expect to play Julio. And if there's a good one, expect to play Julio. It's just kind of the situation. So sometimes it's just going to be tough, but Ridley's going to be the one guy where it's just across the board, he's going to get it done. Like Godwin.
Yeah. This is your buy low window for Julio Jones. If anyone buys it, yes, Ridley's awesome, and he could be like a 1B to Julio instead of like the clear number 2 like we might have thought. If someone's panicking on Julio, please capitalize on it. I promise you this is the worst game that Julio plays all season.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
He also had a touchdown off one of his hands in the back of the end zone. He was kind of yanked, and he just didn't get it. I think he would have come down with it 8 out of 10 times. So He also could have just had a 3 for 56 and a touchdown in this game very easily, and he didn't. So
yeah, Russell Gage is Mohamed Sanu because he's throwing those tutties. He should be catching those.
Yeah, he dropped that too. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, Julio just kind of had a bad game. I wouldn't, if someone is concerned, just go buy him because it's Julio Jones. Quickly on Matt Ryan, just a Matt Ryan type game. High passing yardage, 4 touchdowns. You can roll out Matt Ryan as a top 10 quarterback pretty much every week because this team can't run the ball. They can't play defense. So they're going to be throwing they're going to go as far as their passing game takes them, essentially. If they win 9 games, it's because Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, and all these guys are cooking people. And if they win 6 games, it's because they can't do it every single week.
He's going to be a top 3 quarterback.
Yeah.
I can't see a situation where this slows down, where this isn't going to be a thing, because he could go against the most elite defense in the league, and he's still going to throw the ball 60 times. It's just, there's no way they're going to gas him out. This will probably be the last year of effectiveness for this guy because he's getting up there in age. I mean, they're gonna run him out of the building until we see coaching change. And I have a Falcon fan in my house. He wants everything gone. And I agree. I think they need to completely clear house. And you know what? It's hard because their offense is too good to get them to tanking level. And the value of some of those guys is too good to just trade them. So Atlanta, I feel for you because I just don't know what your team should do. And normally I kind of know, but I just don't know what your team should do. So that's where they're at right now.
Yep. All right. Into the next game. We got to roll through these a little bit quicker. Lions and Packers. The Packers, again, with another 40 burger, 42-21.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, I'm going to take a victory lap real quick because anyone who said that Aaron Jones was going to regress because his touchdowns were like he had 19 touchdowns and he can't repeat this because he's going to regress to the mean, which, by the way, when people say that, they're talking about a league average running back. Aaron Jones is not a league average running back. This kid is fucking unreal, man. He just has a nose for the end zone. Some players have it, some players don't. Julio Jones does not have it. He's a future Hall of Famer, but he doesn't have a nose for the end zone. Aaron Jones, 18 carries, 168 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. 4 receptions, one of which was like an incredible catch. 68 yards and a touchdown through the air. He won me my week in my home league.
Yeah, well, he won a lot of people's. He had the highest fantasy score for the week so far. Saying this at the 8:10 on Sunday night. Yeah, he's great. AJ Dillon was never a guy I was high on in college. There's a chance he could do something maybe next year. But I seriously didn't get that pick. You had Jamal Williams, who Jamal Williams put up 8.3 fantasy points. So he was not even a slot. I mean, this was back-to-back weeks where we should have seen, maybe the industry should have seen a little bit more that, let's buy Aaron Jones in drafts and sell him after these first 2 weeks because this team is going to roll through their first 2 matchups.
That's something I never understand with fantasy is that everyone is like, oh, I don't pay attention to schedule. It's like, why not? We're talking about drafts here. Like you don't win. And they'll say, I don't pay attention to schedule. And then the next sentence they'll say, you don't win your league at the draft. Well, okay. So you should be drafting for the beginning of the season then, right? If you can. And that's why I was telling people to buy Mark Ingram because I thought Mark Ingram was going to do something like this at the beginning of the season. Obviously I was wrong about that, but I think that the premise still holds true. If we had seen this schedule for Aaron Jones and the Packers, like, man, he's the number 1 back in fantasy, I would imagine, after this week.
Yeah. On the other side of the ball, there's some serious issues. The Lions, you know what? It's a tough question because if you would have told me last week, who do you think the first coach being fired was? Yeah, I go with Patricia and everything going on in Detroit. I thought that was going to be the clear-cut winner. And now Dan Quinn is putting up a big old fight in Atlanta because that was a joke. That's a clear house move in itself. So now I don't know which management's going to go down first, but neither of them will survive the end of the season. I don't even think that's a bold take. I think it's just going to happen. This is not good for Patricia. He got out early in the first, 14-3 in the first quarter, and then right from there it was all Packers. And it was kind of a joke how it just started happening. This team couldn't do anything effectively. Running the ball was interesting. They were effective with Kerryon Johnson early, and then they kind of started giving more chances to Adrian Peterson. Something we said pretty heavily last episode of this. We said DeAndre Swift was not going to get involved. He actually was. He had 5 catches.
Yeah, that's I think that's aside from we'll get to Adams in a second, but
yeah.
The second biggest story out of this game to me is that DeAndre Swift is like a receiving back, like a receiving down back, which is great because if he was not like that, then if he's sharing carries with Adrian Peterson and we're just kind of guessing every week, the fact that he has the clear receiving role is great for DeAndre Swift, in my opinion, because if you play in any kind of PPR league, Yeah, he's going to be a guy that in our live streams every week, you're like, should I start DeAndre Swift or this player? But at least you can start him if you need to.
Yeah, he's not like a Tariq Cohen kind of back where you're like, I don't even know if I should start him because Montgomery's cutting into him. That's the thing, is I wasn't really expecting Swift to do much until next year. The 7 carries that Adrian Peterson got this year, this game, will just be split into carry on and Swift in a situation next year. The one thing I'm not liking is that was kind of like the big thing for Swift, is he needed a lot of volume to get going, especially against good teams. We saw that, and I'm talking in reference to college. 5 for 12 is, and he had kind of a similar stat line last week. Running the ball has not been good for him, so I'm happy that at least he's getting receiving work. That's good. T.J. Hawkinson, he had the most yards for the team.
Yeah. That's a solid game from a tight end. 4 receptions, 62 yards. That's nothing to sneeze at. I teased it earlier, but Davante Adams left this game early with a hamstring injury. Not good. Because I don't believe, was it a hamstring last year that hampered Davante Adams? I don't exactly remember. But
it was something along that lines. This is not a good situation for a guy that you know what? Luckily though, unlike last year where you spent first round capital, I was seeing this guy going in mid-second. I mean, you probably got him at a really good rate. So that way when he does come back and he's kind of a little bit shaky, it's not going to kill you. But this is definitely not a good situation.
They were winning when he went out, though. So maybe it's possible that it's like because there is degrees of hamstring tears. I've heard a lot of fantasy doctors talk about this. We saw Mike Evans had a hamstring tear a week and a half ago, and he looked fine today. So maybe it's just a slight tweak, and they're like, we're already winning against the Lions anyway. Let's just like rest Davante or whatever. Pay attention to injury reports. I wouldn't panic too much. It didn't no one sounded like super, super concerned when he went out. No. It was just kind of, he left the game with a hamstring injury. Not great, but so I would pay attention closely to that situation. If you have Adams, I wouldn't be like trying to sell him if you have him, or I also wouldn't be going to buy him. I think it's just a hold situation. If you have him, or if you're looking to buy him, I don't want to buy a guy with a hamstring injury. Aaron Rodgers just had an efficient game, to be honest. Not a super great fantasy day because Aaron Jones pretty much stole the show from him. But just an efficient day, 107.6 rating and only 30 attempts and 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good day for fantasy if you played him, but not exactly a 4 touchdown day like he had last week.
Yeah, I got a few questions when I was on my live stream, and a few just DM questions of people going, Aaron Rodgers or this guy, and every single time I just answered, you're going to get a very good solid floor from Aaron Rodgers this week, and you can be happy with that, or you can kind of go with, so I had a Matt Ryan versus Aaron Rodgers, and I'm like, you got to go Matt Ryan in this situation. You just have to. It's set up perfectly for him to go off. But this is kind of what I expected from Aaron Rodgers. It was a good game. I thought a little bit more yards, but hey, you take what you get. The story is there's 18 carries for Aaron Jones. And we know the receiving work and how that kind of chalks out. A.J. Dillon, who we were all hyping was going to take, at least 7, 8, 9, 10 targets, only had 5. Not targets, for rushing attempts. So Aaron Jones is the clear back. I think that's a good takeaway. DeAndre Swift is the clear receiving back. That's a good takeaway. Matthew Stafford needs a wide receiver 1. Come on, Kenny Golladay. Where the hell?
Yeah, get back, man. They need you, or else they're going to be firing Patricia before Halloween.
And Patricia's out the window too. So Davante Adams, DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones being the lead guy, and Patricia out the window. These are the 4 takes you can take from that game. We'll bounce on to the next one. Probably
another take I have from that game is that Aaron Jones might have a new contract by Halloween.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because he looks really, really sharp right now.
Yep. All right, so on to the next game. This was a sneaky shootout, actually. Tennessee Titans 33, Jacksonville Jaguars 30. And this, not last week's stat line, is what I expect from Gardner Minshew on a week-over-week basis. 45 attempts for 30 completions, 339, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Up and down kind of game from an up and down type of quarterback. I think this is when I said draft DJ Chark and Gardner Minshew is going to be a top 12 fantasy quarterback, this is what I was talking about. 45 attempts, it sounds about right on a weekly basis. Speaking of DJ Chark, he didn't get in the end zone, but 4 targets isn't that much. But 4 receptions, 84 yards. He's a big play guy. He had a couple big plays in this game, including a 45-yard catch that he had. I think the biggest takeaway from this game on Jacksonville's side is the fact that James Robinson looked like Leonard Fournette.
Yeah. Apparently the run game whoever's there just magically gets it done. I like that. As far as Minshew, one of those picks was really, really not on him. I mean,
Yeah, that got tipped at the line, and what was Harold Landry got the pick on that? That was just to seal the game, though. So
yeah, it did. But that, I mean, come on, and then there was another, and then his other pick actually was a tip off of the Jacksonville wide receiver that fell into Tennessee. So really, he had a really good game.
He looked good in this game. He definitely gave them a chance to win. I was like, when I was watching this, I was like, are the Jags going to be leading the NFC or the AFC South after this week?
Yeah, they look really. You know what? This team has just as good a chance of finishing second in this division as the Colts, as the Texans. Texans look rough, and I know they played two hard teams, so I really don't want to judge them too much yet.
If they won 8 games, it wouldn't completely shock me because I think their quarterback can play, and I never bought into the narrative that they were going to win 2 or 3 games.
Tennessee could be beaten when they go to Jacksonville next. Jacksonville has people in the stand. Sure, let's get rowdy. But as far as Jacksonville, you took away the James Robinson situation, which I back that. But let me tell you about a guy who I loved coming out of college.
Laviska Shenault.
He was my wide receiver 3.
Buddy, before his horrible combine, I had him ranked ahead of CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I had him. I had in order Judy, Lamb, Shenault. That I was no joke. That's not me. You can go back to Fantasy Flock, my first ever channel. I pounded the table on Shenault, and I still do because this is what he can do. He had 5 carries in this, and he was getting receiving work as well. I mean, he's just like a Swiss Army knife for a team. He's kind of like
Debo.
Yeah, he's kind of like Debo. I mean, it just works. Like, and I love this. I love what this is. Now he doesn't get in the end zone like last week, but this is really productive work. I mean, so now that I know this is consistent, this isn't just, a one-off of just, hey, let's throw him a couple trick plays. I mean, he's running the ball. He's throwing wildcats in there. Like this guy's fun. He's making their offense fun, and I think that's needed because Gardner's a fun quarterback. The offense has to be fun. It's got to be moving. They've got young kids. Make the offense fun because you gotta throw some different things at them because you can't be vanilla like you were the past 3-4 seasons all the way into Blake Bortles years where you're just really vanilla. It's more fun now, and they're putting up numbers, and James Robinson's running effectively. So praise for Jacksonville. We'll go to the team that actually won though, but yeah, great job Jacksonville.
All right, here comes my other victory lap of this. Jonnu Smith is a bad man.
This is
5 targets, 4 receptions, 84 yards, 2 tugs, man. First of all, in the red zone, where do they look? They look for number 81, which is awesome to see if he's your starting tight end. Anytime Tannehill's also Tannehill had a great game. 18 of 24 for 239 and 4 touchdowns, 145.7 quarterback rating. He had an awesome, super efficient game, made some big time throws. But man, Jonnu Smith looks like the next Mark Andrews is my takeaway from this game. He literally has 3 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks. He looks like the go-to guy in the red zone, and that's exactly what we saw from Mark Andrews last year. Derrick Henry surprisingly held in check in this game. I thought he was going to smash this Jaguars defense.
And you know what? I think everyone on Jacksonville right now is very, very upset. I think all these players are like, you know what? I'm not asking for a trade. I'm not looking to just jump ship and go to another team. I want to fight for this team because we're better than what the media is saying. I think this team has got a huge chip on their shoulder, led by a quarterback who's always had a chip on their shoulder. This team, they were coming out aggressive for the run. And yeah, they're young and they're not good. They aren't good, so they're going to mess up. But, they're putting up fights against these teams. I mean, teams are struggling to do effective things. The Colts look really, really good against the Vikings. Sure, the Vikings have a bad defense, but Jacksonville shut them down. This fun team.
I like this team. They kind of remind me of my old Bucs with Jameis Winston, to be honest, because we love Jameis Winston for fantasy. It just couldn't win games.
Yeah. As far as Tennessee, I think it was a complete setup for Jonnu to do well. Corey Davis was a little bit banged up coming in. He did get a touchdown, first one since October of last year. So an absolute joke. But yeah, that's a thing. So we kind of expected Jonnu to be big. This was supposed to be the game where he did do big, and he put up what tight ends should be doing. 4 receptions, 2 touchdowns, fantastic. You look like Mark Andrews. You said it yourself. Adam Humphries provided fantasy value. I don't know how long AJ Brown's going to be out. I think I think he has at least till next week that he'll be out. Adam Humphries could be a stream option. He's not a sexy one, but he could be one for you. Corey Davis really isn't an answer. I think one lucky touchdown is the only thing that saves his day, which is a new thing for him because normally his day is never saved by anything. And yeah, Derrick Henry was shut down. So you know what? The stat line looks like Jacksonville won this game, and it's unfortunate that they didn't because they really did play well. But yeah, a fun game to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And this next game, we don't have to spend overly a lot of time on because it was kind of a slugfest, a little bit gross. 28 for the Colts, 11 for the Vikings. My takeaway from the Vikings perspective, just a 15.9 quarterback rating from Kirk Cousins. Horrible game from Kirk Cousins.
Your defense is terrible. Your offense is terrible. You can't just depend on your defense anymore to just pin people back and just win field position battles.
They might need to make a midseason trade for a corner.
I mean, this is terrible. We said it. We said it last video. We said it at draft time. This team needed to take 2 cornerbacks with their picks, and they drafted a wide receiver.
They did take 2 cornerbacks, so that's the weird thing. Is Jeff Gladney their first-round pick? I don't even know where the fuck that guy is.
No, their first 2 picks. Like, they took Justin Jefferson. I'm saying, like, they should have capitalized first 2 picks. They had a guy like Trayvon Diggs who did pretty well against Julio on the board. Like, I don't know why they weren't pouncing on 2 guys. Justin Jefferson, led the team in receptions, but, like, fuck, the team was so ineffective. I wouldn't have taken Justin Jefferson, but, that's the past. The team looked really bad. Kirk Cousins looked dreadful. He took a safety through 3 picks. I'm pretty sure he finished with, like, negative 8.9 fantasy points. Like, holy shit. Like, it was, like, oh, my God. Like, people played him, and I just felt really bad. And I'm sad because I didn't play against him. I would never play Kirk Cousins because I'm not a sheep. But
I was called for the Patriots defense just a second ago.
It was just bad. And the Colts aren't even – I mean, we saw Jacksonville was okay last week. They weren't great. They were okay, but, like, Jesus.
Yeah. From the Colts side of things, I'm taking another – don't worry, I will be admitting that I was wrong on a couple things later in this, but I'm taking another victory lap because everyone who said that Nyheim Hines is the next Austin Eckler, I told you were full of shit. Like I told you he wasn't – I knew that was the week 1 flash in a pan. Nyheim Hines got one target for 4 yards. Jonathan Taylor, 26 carries. And he also had 2 targets. He is the bell cow. He is a top 10 running back going forward, in my opinion.
Phillip Rivers had 4 times as many rushing attempts as Nyheim Hines because he had 4 rushing attempts. There's a stat line for you. If you just want to, like, dog one of your friends who's playing.
Jordan Wilkins had 9 carries.
Jordan Wilkins was involved, which, honestly, we should have saw because he was fairly effective last year. Yeah. But, yeah, Jonathan Taylor's can just slowly absorb this entire backfield. He had, 26 attempts? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, and you might say, like, Nyheim Hines wasn't involved because he was playing from behind. It's like, okay, like, we don't expect the teams to, like, the Colts to, like, slaughter a bunch of teams like they slaughtered the Vikings today. But I also don't expect the Colts to be, like, behind in a lot of games. I think they're going to be in a lot of games. Like, I don't think they're going to get blown out.
If you're behind, guess who still caught more targets than fucking Nyheim Hines is Jonathan Taylor. So it's like, stop with the Nyheim Hines shit. I told so many people, don't fucking play this guy. Like, what are you doing?
The Rivers thing too. I told a couple people asked me if they should start Rivers over, like, way more proven options. No, like, Rivers didn't do it against Jacksonville. He had an okay game, I guess, but not, like, anything to ride home about. Receiving wise, like, I think did Parris Campbell have a target?
He ran the ball once. That was
Did he get injured?
Was all the Parris Campbell talks? No. Period. And Phillip Rivers, this was probably this may be the best situation he would have had. Back-to-back games of 2 teams with a combined 1 corner. Because
he did get injured, Parris Campbell.
Oh, that's right. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Phillip Rivers has faced 1 legitimate corner in the past 2 games, and C.J. Henderson, who wasn't legitimate going into that game, but looked really, really good.
Oh, I loved C.J. Henderson coming at me.
Go Gators. Loved him. He faced nobody today, and he really didn't shine. I mean, he was 1 for 1 interception, 1 touchdown. I mean, it was Jonathan Taylor moving the rock for them. The quarterback situation was dreadful. This was a game where if you just sat and watched Red Zone all day, you didn't see it. You didn't.
That's why I didn't know that Parris Campbell got hurt, because apparently the initial fear was that he tore his ACL, actually, apparently. But Ian Rappaport reported that he did not tear his ACL, that saw him carted off. He was carted off the field. Apparently he's going to have an MRI tomorrow, much like Saquon and the other guys. But
Yeah.
man, Michael Pittman had 6 targets in this game. I'd definitely be going to pick him up on your waiver wire because he's a
Sure.
very early second-round pick out of USC. And he was actually the guy I thought would be this year's A.J. Brown. If you followed us in the offseason, I mentioned that a couple times.
Yeah, he's your guy in this offense. Ty did not look good. There's no rapport there. There's no what Luck and Ty had where there's just Ty's not good, but Luck's going to give him the ball. Mo Alley Cox was the best receiver on the fucking day for any team, which was a joke. But don't kind of use that as a blinder so you could slowly go under the radar and get yourself some Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman was a 4-year senior, captain of USC. The guy's a veteran. He basically plays like he's like 28 and he's not. He's like 22. I mean, he's a veteran guy who really isn't a veteran. Like, he could seriously be good for a long time. He's kind of going to just replace TY at this point on. He's a really good receiving option. If this offense figures any kind of passing down out, I think it'd be good. I think the Colts they have Eason down the line. And
I think Eason's playing this year, man. Phillip Rivers should be playing a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Based on the upgrade that he saw from going from the Chargers line to the Colts line, I think he should be playing better. As a 17-year veteran, he should be looking really good.
Yeah, Eason was my direct comp to Phillip Rivers, so that was actually a really funny situation because both take big chances, have big arms. I'm talking, not this year's Phillip Rivers, this year or last year's, but like
that's who I comp him to.
If you were, we're because we're fucking on it. We're just smart boys. It's just, but he'll make dumb decisions. So I think that's what they kind of need. If Jonathan Taylor's going to continue to just be this safe guy that you can go with, you can just slowly work in Eason. Don't put him in bad situations. You put him in bad situations, he wants to make big plays, and that's going to hurt him. But he's a really, really good game manager if that's the situation you put him into, that can get the ball to his receivers. And he will, the second we see that he's starting, he will elevate every single receiver on this team. He's going to elevate Jonathan Taylor as a pass catcher because he was able to get it to Ahmed in Washington, as well as all the Georgia backs when he was there. He was able to support some serious wide receivers over in Washington as well. So guys like Michael Pittman, who's probably was on second squad in practices, Eason was probably getting it too. That's going to be a rapport. So just look for these kind of things because if Phillip Rivers keeps putting up these kind of stat lines against very, very bad secondaries, when he starts facing the good ones, I would place money on Eason starting this year.
I think he will too. I think he's going to see some action because I think this team is going to go as far as Jonathan Taylor can take them. And if they're in game scripts where they have to pass, I think they're going to lose.
Yeah, they're going to lose. So yeah, that was that game. We said we're not going to spend time on it.
Okay, on to the next game. And I swear to God, this is my last victory lap. But this one might be my biggest one because I swear I was the only dude on this guy. Stephon Diggs is a bona fide number one receiver. In fantasy in the NFL, you watched this game a lot closer than I did, being that you're a Miami Dolphins fan. You could probably tell me that, man, Diggs is being used in the red zone, which has never happened in his career. He's being used in the slot, which has never happened in his career. And I tweeted this out this past week after I looked into the stats for PFF. But 13 targets, 8 receptions, 153 yards, and a touchdown for Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, he murdered us. We got killed. There was Byron Jones.
This was supposed to be a tough matchup, by the way, because they have 2 good corners on the Dolphins.
Byron Jones went out early, and it was they're gonna put Xavier Howard on the wrong side of the field all the time. We're gonna Noah Benagane go 1-on-1, and it was bad. Diggs took care of business as he should have with Byron Jones going down early. John Brown did his thing. So I'm not going to say I was high on Diggs. I had him as a top 15 receiver going into the season. I had him close. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, I was totally right on Diggs because I really thought John Brown was going to be kind of the bigger kind of target earlier on in the season and Diggs would slowly work his way in. But yeah, Josh Allen is not playing around. He's not like other quarterbacks. It's almost like he has a fantasy team and he's like, yeah, shit, this guy's actually really good. Let me just give him the ball. I don't care if we don't have a rapport. I'm Josh Allen. I'm going to heave that fucker down deep and Diggs is going to go get it. And that's the same thing with John Brown. And we saw that. And Beasley looked pretty good. This was a late game shootout that kind of didn't start that way. It hurt. It really hurt watching this game.
Yeah, there was a lightning delay in this game, correct? So that pushed it back.
Lightning. There was cable. CBS went down. So we missed like the red zone had
We missed the Parker touchdown that like a fan cam had to take it or whatever.
so funny. But yeah, no, this is the classic Miami Dolphins game where we get down early, we come back, we find a way to get ahead, then we get down, and then we get close again, and then we just lose. Like this is what I've been seeing for the past 3 years, and it's just 4 or 5, however fucking long I've like actually been able to process these games. This is the Dolphins for you, and you're gonna see this. Good teams just finish it. The one thing I'm kind of concerned about with the Bills is like the Jets came kind of back on them later. The Dolphins made this really, really close. Like, are the Bills just a team that can't finish in the fourth? Like, are we going to see good teams kind of take them out?
I don't think so. I think they just kind of invite close games for whatever reason. They don't strike me as a team that's going to blow a bunch of people out. I don't know why. But, man, is it safe to say that Josh Allen took a step forward as a passer? I know he had that one play last week where he just completely airmailed fucking John Brown in the end zone.
Plays in this one where he did too. I think he had more room to do that, though. So they were taking a lot of shots because they can. Our safety crew really isn't that great. So back-to-back games where they had chances to take shots, so they're going to. It's not really a hit on Allen missing some throws.
He didn't run the ball once in this game.
What was that?
Did he not run the ball once? Oh, no, sorry. He ran the ball 4 times, so I'm blind. But four touchdowns and 417 yards. Before last week, he had never thrown for 300 yards.
Yeah, it was a really good game. And I think a lot of people were pretty hyped. Is he the MVP? I got to see him do it against a legitimate team. I know you and Danny were like dark horse, but he faced 2 teams.
The MVP is playing right now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson's going to win the MVP.
Money on that one for a reason. I do want to take my quick victory laps because I do have a few. I made it fairly clear that the guy who's going to be getting the biggest amount of volume is in the rushing attempts is Myles Gaskin. And Myles Gaskin tied Burita for 7, but he also had 6 receptions. So I told you, I have Myles Gaskin in 5 of my 6 leagues. One league, I just forgot to get him, and I felt like a doofus. When he starts facing easier defenses, he's going to be what James Robinson is. Like, I seriously believe that. Like, you're like, well, how the hell did he put up that stat line? But he did. And he's getting receptions. He's a startable candidate, and he's yet to get in the end zone. We'll see that come.
The offense could improve, too, because, man, I think I don't know if it could be Tua season, week 3 against the Jags, man.
Stop.
I think it could happen. Like, Fitzpatrick played okay in this game, at least by the stat sheet. I didn't really watch every single play, but
he played a lot better than he did game 1.
Yes, he did.
That's why I think he's got a few more in him. What I want to take, because this is my biggest victory lap.
Oh, can I take the L instead of you taking the victory lap? Because I told so many people to sit this man this week because Jordan Poyer is clamps for tight ends, man.
Oh.
And Mike Gesicki, 11 targets, 8 receptions, and 130 yards. I fucked up, guys. Like, I told a lot of people to sit this dude.
Here's the thing: he doesn't play tight end. He plays in the slot. Like, he plays slot tight end. He'll play outside. It is crazy what they do to him. And Fitzpatrick loves this man. Like, Fitzpatrick is not a guy that goes to tight ends, but towards the back end of the year, he loved this man, and he went right back to him. And this is my victory lap because I said he's going to be top 7, and I think he's going to do it. Like, this is really impressive. He's their number 1 receiver. And that's rare. I mean, what you can count on a hand how many teams actually have number 1 receivers be the tight end. It's Kelsey, it's Kittle,
Ertz.
Is it though? Because it's
Waller.
So yeah, Waller,
Andrews,
Marquise though.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no, there's not a lot. I don't think he's their number 1 receiver. I think Davante Parker has played the 2 best corners in the league the past 2 weeks, in my opinion.
Okay, so that's fair. But this is just really good for Gesicki. This makes me really happy because this was a really good team. And I'm gonna be honest, I sat him for Hawkinson in one of my leagues, and I felt like, oh shit.
I sat him for Jonnu, so I didn't fuck up that hard. But like,
but those 3 guys were like my guys this year. It was Hawkinson, Jonnu, and Gesicki, and all three of them, I felt have really done some serious work. Mm-hmm. So this is why every single year I say grab tight ends at the back, because the top ones are just too rich and the ones in the middle are going to screw you. Those were my 3 headhunted guys, and they all starting to look pretty great. Isaiah Ford had 7 receptions. I was like, fuck, Preston Williams is not the 2. He's not the 3 because Gesicki.
Really? That's your takeaway?
He had 1 target. Well,
he dropped it.
He had 1 reception. What was he?
Yeah, he didn't look great in this game. And I one thing I did say before the season was I don't know how good he's going to be coming off a torn ACL late in the season like he was. I wasn't playing him this week. I didn't really want to, but I said if Parker plays, you probably could play him, and then that probably didn't go too well, obviously, with his one reception for 26 yards. Anyways, let's get off this game. We've been on it for a while. We could skim through this next game to breeze time.
Oh, dude, I just want to – can I drop the bomb?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the 49ers had no quarterback. They had 2 D linemen go down. Their number 1 running back went down.
Their two best not their two best D linemen, but like their best D lineman and then another solid one.
And you got destroyed. You got killed. You are not winning very many games this year. I would, if there was an over/under set right now, it's probably at 3. Like, this team's terrible.
You know what I think is going to happen? Here's my prediction. 1, I think Gase is going to get fired first out of all the coaches. One, he deserves to be fired first out of all the coaches.
That's true.
2, I think Le'Veon Bell is off this team. I don't think he plays a single snap for this team ever again. To be honest, whether he sits out the whole year, whether he gets traded at the deadline when he comes back, I don't think he plays another snap for this team. And 3, Jamar Chase is going to be a New York Jet next year. Because I think they're going to bring in some hotshot offensive mind to take over for Gase. They're going to be like, okay, this is it. Sam Darnold, this is it. And they're going to get him Jamar Chase, and they're going to actually finally get him some weapons because I think Joe Douglas is actually a good general manager. It's just Adam Gase is a terrible coach.
Okay. I was rolling with the first 2. I was like, yep. My third is Darnold's out at the end of the year.
I don't think so.
I think him and Baker have been clear. They're both on the hot seat. They both have been really
I don't think it's been as clear I agree with you on Baker. Because Baker has Odell and Jarvis and Chubb and Hunt and stuff. Like, Darnold's got no one, and he also has the worst coach in the league. Braxton Berrios caught a touchdown in this game.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. But there's going to be a switch up. We know this. And I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't bet them to win more than 4 games.
No, I think they're going to win. I think they're going 3-13, 2-14. I think they're going to be either. I think the best case scenario for the Jets is that they get the first pick
and they sell it
for a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a few teams,
and you still get Jamar Chase or Penny. Well, I guess you don't really need Penny Sewell with Mekhi Becton, but there's
a few teams in the league where I'm like, there's a chance they may get the 1, and they don't need a quarterback. They need to sell that pick.
Yeah.
It's what you're looking for is a package where, okay, say the Dolphins didn't draft Tua and they just drafted something else. They drafted line or whatever. You get the Texans first round pick and the Dolphins first round pick for Trevor Lawrence. You could get some huge fucking haul for that pick because this is the best quarterback prospect
since Luck. I think before Luck. I think this is the best since Elway.
Damn. He's legit. I mean,
Luck was hyped up, but not his before he started a game in college football.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, man, this Trevor Lawrence kid is going to be the next Luck, before he ever played a snap.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So I'll give you that. I seriously hope that they don't get the 1 because I hate the Jets and I kind of just despise them as a team. So
I don't want the Panthers getting the 1 because I think Matt Rule's a good coach and I don't want to have to play Matt Rule and the Trevor Lawrence-led Panthers for the next 15 years.
They played too good against the Raiders. They'll beat teams. But we could speculate on who's going to get the 1 for a while because there's a lot of shit teams.
What if the Niners get it? Jesus. They get more injuries than they might.
Don't say that. Don't fucking say that.
Okay, let's get more into the stats here. 21 carries for 63 yards is the most Frank Gore stat line I've ever heard in my life. No one of note in the Jets receiving core except for the fact that Chris Herndon absolutely laid an egg. I might be taking that one on the chin. I want to see what's happening. I think the Niners are not a great matchup for tight ends, I believe. So I'll continue to hold hope, but I wouldn't be starting Herndon going forward until we see some more usage out of him. From the Niners' perspective, Raheem Mostert got hurt in this game. Before he got hurt, he looked like he was going to make me eat my words for calling him a bust based on what he's done the first 2 weeks. But I believe he's going to be out a couple weeks at least. If Jerick McKinnon is on your waiver wire, you better go get him now because he looks fantastic. He had 3 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown in this game. And he also, I believe he had a couple – he didn't have any receptions, but – Tevin Coleman, for whatever reason, got 14 carries for 12 yards. So I think Jerick McKinnon is going to eat into that very, very quickly.
Yeah, imagine the Jets actually stopping you. Yeah, Raheem Mostert started this game with an 80-yard touchdown like that. Like I was wrapping up my.
Dude, Jerick McKinnon's touchdown was on 3rd and 31, wasn't it?
No,
Or not a touchdown, but he had like a 55-yard run on 3rd and 31.
That's just the Jets. But Raheem Mostert had a touchdown to start this game before I was even done wrapping it up in here. I was about to move into my living room to watch these freaking games, and he already was scoring a touchdown. I'm like, holy shit. So the Jets are horrible. Start betting all teams that play them, whatever.
Is that a direct shot at me because I took the Jets +7 like an idiot?
That's fucking stupid. Like, why?
Yeah, that was dumb. The reason I did that is because you saw this in Miami. You guys won 7 games every year because Adam Gase randomly would like win games he wasn't supposed to. That's what I thought was going to happen because the Niners were so banged up. But clearly I was wrong because the Jets are even jettier than I thought.
Yeah, they're just bad. But we don't need to spend time on this. Listen, this is a throwaway game for both teams. Well, not for the Jets. Jets are just always going to suck. But a throwaway game for the 49ers. They're banged up. So, fantasy implications, we won't know until they're healthier. So we'll bounce to the next game.
Yep. All right. So this one's a little interesting to me. Rams 37 and Eagles 19. Obviously, I mean, if you had Tyler Higbee in your lineup this week, holy shit. He only had 5 targets. He had 3 touchdowns for 54 yards. Cooper Kupp with a solid stat line as well, 5 receptions for 81 yards. Robert Woods didn't really have the greatest game through the air, but he had a rushing touchdown. He had 3 carries for 19 yards as well, so that kind of padded his stat line, saved his day a bit. Jared Goff, if he's actually not that highly owned, Jared Goff, and I think he's kind of bouncing back to the form that we saw him in the previous 2 years.
Yeah, it was zero surprise. I told a lot of people to sit Robert Woods, and I feel okay with that decision because Darius Slay was going to cover him the whole time.
Yeah, shadow coverage.
There was zero doubt in my mind that was going to happen, and I knew Cooper Kupp was not going to get touched all game. And he put up a decent stat line. I thought he put up more, in all honesty. The situation was Cam Akers went down fairly early, and Darrell Henderson is more valuable than Malcolm Brown.
I'm taking way too many victory laps, but I also said don't start Malcolm Brown because I thought Nyheim Hines and Malcolm Brown were the biggest traps I've ever seen. If you wasted a lot of fab on them, I'm sorry, but that's your own fault.
I told a lot of people that if you have Malcolm Brown, to sell him because this was not going to be the game he was going to do well. And surprise. I will say this. The Eagles were up. They were favored 1.5 in this one. They were the favorite in this game, and they got rolled. I think if anyone watched that Washington game last week, if you were a smart betting man, you would have taken the Rams. I did.
I did too.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, my parlay didn't come through because I parlayed it with the Jets because I'm an idiot. But yeah, as you mentioned, Darrell Henderson is going to probably be one of the bigger waiver wire pickups of the week, maybe behind Dion Lewis or like some of these other guys. But 12 carries, 81 yards and a touchdown. He also had a couple receptions as well, 2 for 40. Your boy, Van Jefferson, looked pretty good in this game, not going to lie.
He's a good receiver.
I was a fan of his tape. I wasn't a fan of the landing spot based on like the opportunity behind the top 2 guys. But he definitely looks like he's, at minimum, a solid number 3 receiver.
Well, yeah, him like Pittman, they're just senior guys. They were leaders of their team. And when you have that kind of situation, that's why junior receivers don't really start off well and take a while to get going. But senior receivers that are 4-year seniors that played a lot in college, they come on and they produce. They do. We've seen that in past history. It's just something that happens. And Van Jefferson and Pittman are 2 guys that I was like pounding. And I'm like, you know what? These guys are veterans. They were leaders of their team. They're going to go out and they're going to do damage. And it's not going to be great. You're not going to be like, wow, that's sexy. But that's productive.
He just looks like a pro, man. Like that's just the way he plays. There's nothing really overly sexy about how Van Jefferson plays, but he looks like a professional receiver. And I said that in college. I had a earlier mid-third round grade on Van Jefferson because I thought he's a solid NFL starter. Like I thought he's like a number 2, number 3 receiver, and could make a contribution his rookie year.
And I have a victory lap that I'm going to go ahead and take and bounce to the Eagles here. Surprise. There's no committee backfield here. That was a joke to me for so long. I'm like, I don't care the history that he's never had a back that's this solid and a secondary back who's that bad. Boston's guy looked terrible last week. You know what? I think that's good for Miles Sanders that he missed last week because it just showed that your backup is shit. Like they need you to produce an offense, and he looked pretty solid in this one, I would say. He close to a 5 average. He had a touchdown in this one. Wentz looked really rough. It's going to run. This is the Colts. We now have 2 Indianapolis Colts, and 1 is in Philadelphia, because apparently now both quarterbacks aren't going to do work, and it's just going to be leaned on by the running backs.
Yeah, Carson Wentz did not look good in this game from what I saw. From the Eagles' receiving perspective, I wouldn't worry about the tight ends. That was just kind of a product of the Wentz not looking good, to be honest. Deshaun Jackson had a better game than I expected, to be honest. He didn't have like an insane game, but not bad nonetheless. We can get off this game. Let's move on to Broncos versus Steelers.
Drop J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, by the way.
If anyone was holding him. Pittsburgh Steelers 26, Denver Broncos 21. One of the bigger news items from this game, I would say, is the fact that Drew Lock left this game and is expected to miss 2 to 6 weeks, I believe, from what I saw. What is the injury again? I can't remember exactly what it is.
It was shoulder.
Shoulder. Yeah, it's probably not good for a quarterback.
No, it isn't.
Yeah. Another factor, Melvin Gordon had a pretty good game, to be honest. I didn't expect him to do well at all in this game based on what we saw from Saquon.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm going to point this out. I'm going to say this. I'm less afraid, because I was saying last week, if you have a running back going up against the Steelers, best of luck. Sorry.
It's part of the thing it's kind of the way Saquon runs too.
It's a line.
He is like a very Barry Sanders like runner, where he'll get -1, -1, -6, and then 45 yards. Like that's just how he is.
Too. You know, it's a huge line issue.
Yeah.
Broncos have a little bit better of a line. Giants are really rough, and they're new. That was their first time all together. There was a lot of new moving pieces, guys moving different positions from like center to right tackle. Like shit was all over the place for that line. So I want to credit some of that. Drew Lock went down really early in this game, so it's almost a wash for Denver, but it's not, because 2 to 6 weeks means we're going to see 2 weeks of this kind of setup. KJ Hamler, he had 3 receptions. Is that going to be a guy that maybe starts growing in targets? We saw Cortland Sutton only had 3 receptions.
Judy also got hurt in this game. I'm actually trying to find some information on his injury.
It was spaced out. The ball was spaced out a lot for Driscoll. He did that in college. He was a Gator for a while. Went to Louisiana Tech after because he couldn't cut it because he sucked. But he spaces the ball out a good bit. Didn't really get Melvin involved as much. However, Melvin did had a fantastic receiving touchdown that kind of boosted his day. So fantastic there. But that's going to be an interesting offense, kind of what I'm tiptoeing away from, even though it was a tough Steelers game. Driscoll's not really a good quarterback. Do you have that injury?
It says he was probable to return when he got it. He got a rib injury, I believe. I actually can't find if he did come back or not. I'll check on that and leave it in the comments, or maybe a Broncos fan can update me. But
yeah,
here's my thought. My biggest thing for the Denver side of things is to go buy Melvin Gordon. And the reason I say that, because he came off of a big game, but his quarterback got hurt. So the owner might be panicking a little bit. Man, Melvin Gordon dominated the running back touches in this game. Like, absolutely dominated it. And like Philip Lindsay's going to be out for a couple weeks, and I think Melvin Gordon is going to be a top 15 back going forward, because he looks like the old Melvin Gordon from Los Angeles, not the one that we saw last year, the one we saw 2 years ago.
Well, last year he sat out the whole season, so it just hurt him.
Am I going to have to take another victory lap here?
Yeah, because I think I know who it's about.
Yeah, man. Anyone who thought Benny Snell was taking over the job, come on. Like, Benny Snell, looked good against the Giants. Like, the Giants, guys, come on. Like James Conner, he has a love affair with Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin loves James Conner. As long as he's on the field, we've seen nothing but James Conner getting the ball when he's on the field.
Yeah. That was just like, okay, that happened. He kind of looks like Fournette out there sometimes, but it's funny. He gets the job done. I thought you were taking a Deontay Johnson.
Oh, yeah. So let me take a low-key another victory lap. The Steelers' passing game has a lot of weapons, man. Chase Claypool is looking like he's going to be if there's an injury in the Steelers' receiving core, he's vaulting right to the top of the waiver wire speed dial, man. Like, the opportunity, you just can't trust them right now because there's Juju Smith-Schuster and Deontay Johnson in front of him. But if either of those guys go down, he is the next in line. Sorry, James Washington, you had your chance. But even James Washington's a solid number 4 receiver, and Eric Ebron's a decent tight end. Like, Ben Roethlisberger going forward is going to be a guy that I think about starting 95% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that game was kind of, in some areas, was a wash, so I'm not going to stick to it too long. We're very much killing ourselves on time, so we'll jump to the Panthers Buccaneers here. It's your game. I'll let you rant as you will.
All right, cue the sad music. Not the sad music because 31-17 Buccaneers. Cue the sad music because I was wrong, guys. I was wrong. Finally, I've been taking victory laps all episode. Leonard Fournette is the back to own in this offense. The Tampa Bay Bucks. Ronald Jones, you had your chance, man. Great touchdown run that you had, so you saved your stat line a bit today. But, man, Leonard Fournette looks really fucking good in this game.
I was preaching it, baby. I said Rojo's not that great, and Keyshawn Vaughn was going to take a spot. Vaughn goes down. It's all Fournette, baby. Woo!
Oh, another takeaway. We said this last week. This defense might be top 5 in the league, man. The Bucs defense looked incredible in this game. DJ Moore was getting clamped before garbage time. He had a good stat line at the end of the game, but it all came in garbage time. So, and they were playing a lot of like off coverage and stuff like that. So like all of his catches kind of came in that perspective.
Yeah.
My thing with Brady, especially, is the Brady is a guy that is matchup dependent. Like he's not like an every week starter just because of the offense he's in. Maybe that changes with Godwin coming back potentially next week. But I think he's the type of, I think this offense is going to take a little longer than we initially thought to kind of gel. I think by like November, this offense is going to look really good. But I think that the Bucs defense, from an NFL perspective, is going to have to carry them to some wins for now.
Yeah, I'll take my sad music turn because it's very much just deserving that I have to apologize for this.
Scotty Miller.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I had him top 30.
I'm so sorry to everyone I told to start Scotty Miller. I was like, he's going to be 2. There's no other person on this team. And apparently their option was no Godwin. Okay, let's throw to the running backs. And I was like, fuck. So Scotty Miller, I want to apologize. And I got to apologize to Nick's live streams because that was a really, really poor choice. And I told way too many people.
Oh, but I'm right with you. And speaking of throwing to the running backs, man. Oh, there's a touchdown for Cam Newton, rushing touchdown. Speaking of throwing to the running backs, man, LaShawn McCoy's got to catch the ball or else we're going to see. And if you own Leonard Fournette, it's good news, man. But like he might be exactly what he was in Jacksonville with Rojo sprinkling in. Because I still think Rojo's going to be involved. I don't think you should drop him. But he's definitely going to be the backup running back, I think, going forward. And LaShawn McCoy might get phased out entirely if Leonard Fournette continues to play the way he played today.
Yeah.
Mike Evans gets back on track. I think that's another big story from this game. 10 targets, 7 receptions, 104 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans is a matchup-dependent guy. I know you don't like to hear that from your third-round pick or wherever you drafted him, but he's a matchup-dependent dude. This was a good matchup. He smashed. It's going to continue like this. When he's getting shadowed by Marshawn Lattimore in week 9 against the Saints, he's probably going to have a bad game. But anytime he has a good matchup, he's going to do well.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to take from this before we actually look at the Panthers side of things is not only is Scotty Miller not a legitimate option, there's no tight ends here.
Oh, man, Gronk looked like crap.
Yeah. In the little bit that I saw this game, because, you know, I'm expecting you're taking care of this game just as much as you're expecting to take care of the Dolphins. Yeah, dude, the tight ends, like they're...
Yeah, Howard dropped a pretty bad one, too. Speaking of which, holy shit, did they all eat popcorn before this game? Like, LaShawn McCoy dropped a wide-open touchdown. Mike Evans had, like, 2 drops. Watson had a drop. Miller had, like, a drop. Like, everyone had a couple drops in this game, except for Ronald Jones, oddly enough, which is weird. But, we can get off the Tampa Bay side of things, but Antoine Winfield Jr. is winning Defensive Rookie of the Year because he's a fucking stud. But anyway, Christian McCaffrey, another big story. He had an ankle injury in this game. I don't know if him not coming back into the game is a product of them being down, but it was pretty close. So I thought he would have come back into this game. He had his ankle wrapped up. If you hear the words high ankle sprain, that is not good if that's what comes out for Christian McCaffrey. He still had a good game in this one. 18 carries, 59 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground, as well as 4 receptions for 29 yards. So he had a good game, but he got hurt in this game. And if it's a high ankle sprain, I'm very concerned.
Yeah. It's just Mike Davis.
If you can pick him up, he'll probably get you through a couple weeks. If McCaffrey has a low-grade ankle sprain, that is the best news that you're going to hear because that means he's either, 1, not out any games because it's possible he could just play through that.
Yeah, he's a god, so.
And 2, he might be out 1 or 2 games max. And then you can pick up Mike Davis to get you through those games and stuff. But if Christian McCaffrey has a high ankle sprain, I'm not, because the amount of fab you're going to have to spend on Mike Davis to get him is going to be way too much for what he's going to actually give you, in my opinion.
The truth is, if you want the starting running back for Carolina while McCaffrey's out, is
Curtis Samuel.
You pick up Curtis Samuel. Exactly. Yeah. They're not giving him reception work, but they're running the ball with him.
Why did Mike Davis catch 8 balls in this game?
They caught 8 balls. McCaffrey caught 4. I was like, what the fuck? And here's another thing. I will say I'm wrong because there's a couple things I'm wrong about this game. Robbie Anderson's a legit guy.
Oh, I was not wrong about that. I told people to start him because I thought, to be honest, I thought DJ Moore would have a bad game and Robbie Anderson would have a good game. Another L I'm willing to take. I told some people to sit DJ Moore for and to be fair, the guys that I told them to sit for were like Terry McLaurin, and Terry McLaurin had a great game. So
yeah.
But yeah, 13 targets, 8 receptions for 120 yards. I am not worried about DJ Moore's volume at all going forward. But Robbie Anderson looks like a weekly guy that you could flex.
And there's also no tight end in this system. So there's another team with no tight end. But yeah, we'll jump to the 4 o'clock games, the fun old 4 o'clock games. We love them. We love another guy who could probably come down with the MVP. And his name's Kyler Murray.
Holy shit, man!
He looks legit. And we know the narrative game plays a huge role in these kind of shit like that. The awards. Yeah, here's the narrative. He's 5'8" or 5'9". He's scoring touchdowns. I mean, there was a quote. I forgot who was doing this game, but they're like, there's 11 guys paid and trained to tackle him, and none touched him on his way to a touchdown. I was like, oh my god. So he's a bad man, and I'll take another victory lap once again because DeAndre Hopkins is legit. He gets his first touchdown. So happy days.
Yeah. Right now, sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm trying to find the snap share because here's my big takeaway from this game. Antonio Gibson looked like he was on the field a lot, man.
Yeah.
According to Michael F. Florio, I can't remember exactly where he works, but in the first half, I can't find the whole game usage, but 65% of the snaps for Antonio Gibson, which, I mean, I said initially, before Adrian Peterson got cut, I said Antonio Gibson's going to need some time because he didn't play running back in college. He played receiver. So yeah. I think by week 4 or 5, man, I think this dude's going to be a top 20 running back. Based on the usage, the progression of his usage. I want to see what the whole usage was, but he had 13 carries. He also had he had 2 targets as well. 15 opportunities isn't bad for his second game.
This was a game where they were like, okay, we're going to spend all of our Monday looking at what we did wrong against the Eagles, although somehow we pulled out a miracle win. What we did wrong on offense. They gave the ball 17 times to a guy who was completely ineffective, and today they gave him the ball one time. 17 for 27 yards last week.
Also, if you spent any money on Peyton, fab money on Peyton Barber, that is your own fault.
That's your fault. J.D. McKissick showed up. They were like, you know what, we got to try anything else at running back, and that's what they did. Antonio Gibson looked pretty good. So
yeah, I think Antonio Gibson is a buy low target in my opinion. If someone doesn't realize what is happening in this backfield, they don't follow the snap share. They don't realize that Antonio Gibson I believe he only got 11 opportunities last week and he had 15 this week. That's a good sign that it means they're going up. And I think the offense is a little better than I gave it credit for, to be honest. I think Haskins looks a little better than he did last year. It's not a completely anemic offense like the Jets or even the Giants, to be honest, might be.
Haskins dropped some weight. He's actually moving a little bit more effectively, so I'll give him that. I mean, because that was an issue last year, is he was just expecting to just sling the ball all over the place, and he just couldn't.
He didn't have the line to do that either. Now he can escape a little bit, and I think Antonio Gibson's the primary winner of this game. Terry McLaurin looks every bit like Terry McLaurin too. He had Patrick Peterson most of the time, and he just torched him.
One receiving option, right? I mean, Steven Sims is okay, he's a fringe, but I'm only starting one receiving option.
I'm still willing to start Logan Thomas because he had 9 targets.
Okay, so all right, so I'll give you that one. That's fair. On the other side of the things, Kenyon Drake separated himself from Chase Edmonds, which was good.
And this was a hard matchup, against the Washington front for Kenyon Drake, and he actually played pretty well. So I'll give him that. I didn't think he was going to have that great of a game unless it came as a receiver, but running the ball, he was better than I expected.
Chase Edmonds had one more reception. It was 3-2. Apparently getting the running backs now that DeAndre Hopkins exists and they actually have a legitimate.
He missed a wide open touchdown, Murray, on Chase Edmonds, a wheel route or something like that, though. So
maybe the running backs aren't as involved in the receiving work as maybe we thought they were going to be. But yeah, I think the story is once again the Hopkins Murray connection has been very solid. It's not as much as last week, but it's been solid. And Murray looks like an MVP candidate, although his stat line really doesn't scream sexy. He just
His
dominated.
rushing stat line does.
Yeah, he just dominated the game. So that's that game. You know, when you talk about
Christian Kirk droppable?
yeah,
Like he doesn't look like Larry Fitzgerald looks like the number 2 receiver.
Larry's the 2. It back-to-back weeks, Larry's been the 2. Christian Kirk is not. He's got a ways to go.
I'd rather have Laviska Shenault than Christian Kirk on my team. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Laviska's an opportunity. Christian Kirk isn't. So you flip him. He's a perfect sweetener right now. You could be like, look, the team is rolling right now. Let's go. Let me throw this in there. Let me see if this boosts the trade. That's what you're doing with Christian Kirk. Because dropping is going to kind of suck. He may not get picked up all that quickly. You may be surprised by how disinterested people are in him, because I had him a lot last year and was very disappointed in that.
There's probably a truther in your league somewhere. I think a nice thing to do here is try and you said sell some of the Giants. Try and take Darius Slayton and Christian Kirk and try and get Antonio Gibson for them. Yeah. Or something like that. Try and something like that. If you can use Christian Kirk plus Dion Lewis, if you end up having Dion Lewis on your roster or something, and then you could upgrade to Antonio Gibson, I would do that.
Yeah. So next game, we got 2 more to go. The final 2 of the 4 o'clocks. We got Ravens and Texans. The Texans, once again, rolled by a team that's much better than them. Their line is rough. The defense looks rough. And this was the one game I didn't watch too much of.
Another victory lap for me.
I was eyeing the Chiefs and Chargers and the Redskins and Colts. So I'll let you kind of take the wheel for this one.
Yeah. So I'm not going to take a victory lap because I did expect this player to have a bad game. That's David Johnson, 11 carries for 34 yards. Not great. He got game scripted out. I think the big kind of maybe not issue with this was the fact that he wasn't really that involved in the receiving game. He had 4 targets. So I think David Johnson is going to be a guy that is not initially I was like, man, I'm going to be really wrong about David Johnson. He's going to be a top 15 running back. After what I saw from him in week 1, I think he's going to be borderline RB2, RB 18 to 24, depending on the matchup. So I think he's still fine. If you wanted to buy low on him, I don't hate it. And then Deshaun Watson pretty much had to try and do everything himself in this game from what it looked like. Will Fuller got hurt too.
Yeah. Surprise. No. See, here's the thing. If you drafted Will Fuller, I'm not sorry for you. I'm not.
I did a lot.
This has been everywhere. This is predictable. We knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. And that's when you know you shouldn't take him. The one thing I want to point out is surprise again. The Texans are not a team you can start a tight end for, because no joke, Jordan Atkins had 7 receptions, but Darren Fells had the touchdown. So I'm
that's a good point, actually.
It's such a joke when it comes to receiving options. From here on out, I genuinely believe Brandon Cooks is just going to kind of be the only real guy you actually.
He got dropped in my league today, and I picked him up immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you could feel comfortable starting this guy. Randall Cobb showed up because he had to. There's no other options. The Kiki Kuti rookie year spotlight, and then he got hurt.
There's one 100-yard game, and everyone pretended like he was a top 15 receiver the next year.
David Johnson's not a receiver. Kenny Stills is no.
It'll get better for Baltimore. They're not going to play Baltimore's defense every week, so that'll help a little bit. But they don't have an easy schedule next week. I think they play the Steelers.
Yeah, they had the worst first 3 games.
That is brutal, man. Not only are all 3, including the Chiefs, have great defenses, they have great offenses too. So
the biggest thing that I would have taken is there was actually 3. No. J.K. Dobbins had 2 rushing attempts.
Not great.
Mark Ingram had 9, and Gus Edwards had 10. What?
Yeah.
No one predicted that. I'm sorry to everyone who I told to go ahead and start J.K. because, damn, he screwed you. He had 2 really, really good rushes too, but Gus Edwards.
Yeah, I think it might take an injury for any of these guys to be reliable. I think this is a committee. This is not good. J.K. Dobbins, for what it's worth, looks incredible. 2 carries for 48 yards.
But looking good does not mean
the one reception for 13 yards doesn't look incredible on the stat sheet, but he was tackled after 2 yards of that reception, and he broke like 3 tackles after that and got a first down on like a 3rd and like 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks great, and hopefully that lends itself to more playing opportunity, but I don't know if we're going to be able to start him consistently unless an injury happens to Ingram or Edwards.
In the receiving work is nothing.
I'm sorry for everyone. I literally had Marquise Brown in my top 10 this week. I thought he's going to friggin' snap.
I refuse to buy into Marquise Brown. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's him personally, but it's him personally. I just don't buy in ever. So when he does do well, I apologize. And when he doesn't, I just like pat myself on the back. I think
this one was over pretty quick, though, to be honest, for what it's worth. I think if the Texans would have kept this one closer, I think Hollywood Brown would have had a better game. I think this might be a blip on the radar, to be honest. I'm not worried about Hollywood Brown after this game.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it was there's some flimsy moments in this one where it's like, you know what, I would scratch it for the Ravens, and I'd be a little bit concerned and monitor what's going on with Texans, because this is kind of what their offense is going to be all year. We're very close to the end with this. I think we free to go to the Chiefs and Chargers now?
Yeah, let's get on to the last game. And I'm going to tell you guys why I'm a genius. It's because when the Chargers were up 17-6, I checked what the line was for the Chiefs if you bet on them. And it was like plus 200 for the Chiefs to win straight up. And I smashed it so fast, you have no idea. I was like, the Chiefs down 11 points with like 15 minutes left to go in the game. There's no friggin' way they don't win this game. So that was smart on my part. Thank God they have like the best kicker in the league, aside from Justin Tucker, because he had a 58-yarder to win them the game. And Patrick Mahomes, from his standards, a relatively quiet game. Somehow he still ended up with 302 yards and 2 touchdowns. Even though he was basically useless for the first, like, 3 quarters.
Yeah, it was, well, this is what we expect to see occasionally from Mahomes. One thing that
it's not a victory lap. Don't you dare take a victory lap on this. Because he had 8 Okay, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who we're about to argue about a little bit here. Edwards-Helaire had 8 targets, which is very, very promising because he didn't really have that much involvement in the passing game last week.
Come on.
10 carries for 38 yards against a very formidable front in the Chargers. So I'm not really worried about his rushing work. He didn't have any goal line opportunities, but to be honest, the Chiefs offense just didn't look that great in this game.
Here's my thing. If there is Damian Williams in this backfield, he would have still had that many receptions, but he would have not come close to that many rushing attempts, because I don't think he's all that effective.
Guess what? Damian Williams isn't there, so it doesn't matter.
They're just throwing rushing attempts at him. He's not going to be effective on the ground. He's only going to be effective
Dude, the Chargers front's too good, man. I'm telling you, like, it's not a effect of him being bad.
This is my only chance to have this.
You don't have it. Like, he still had 18 opportunities. If he gets 18 opportunities a game in this offense, he's going to be a top 5 running back on the season.
I'm out here crying, so whatever. Break my heart. Tyreek Hill almost had 100 yards.
He was useless for the first 2 quarters, though. He didn't have a catch until the second half.
Yeah, correct. Surprise, Travis Kelce's their number 1 receiver.
I literally said this is the quintessential Travis Kelce game, and I'm pretty sure not only did Tyreek Hill not have a catch until the second half, I'm pretty sure a Chiefs receiver didn't have a catch until the second half. It was just the running backs and Travis Kelce.
Yeah. On the other side of things, Austin Eckler came back to slight form. He had 4 receptions in this one, which sucks, but there was 2 receivers that had more than him, so he's the 3rd on the team. Keenan Allen had 7, Hunter Henry had 6. Hunter Henry having 6 receptions and 83 yards was a really good day for him, I thought. Mike Williams smiles. He
should have been better in this game, to be honest, because the targets he got, he could have had some bigger plays on them. He had one downfield that was a little. Oh, by the way, how have we not mentioned this yet? Justin Herbert started this game.
Oh, yeah.
Looked good, to be honest.
Really good.
Looked better than Joe Burrow on Thursday, to be honest.
Yeah, he looks like the best.
He definitely looks better than Tyrod Taylor.
So far. Oh, he definitely is. And that was the thing with Herbert is and I kind of mentioned it with the receivers, and I was pretty much pounding the table for that. I wasn't really high on Herbert, but one thing I'll give you is he went back for his senior year. He's a guy who understands just control the game. This is a game that ideally he should have taken the win for, and this would have been a great signature first win. But don't get discouraged because this guy is going to consistently do this.
This is a good pass defense too.
We're seeing a new shift in LA. We're seeing a new shift for the Chargers where they've got a game manager and it's good for them. They've got a great defense. Let the defense give you the wins. You just sit there and keep things safe. He had a really, really good game, and Austin Eckler looked good with him. So I'm liking this. But Josh Kelly, 23 rushing attempts, and Eckler had 16. Josh Kelly's legit. I think so.
I said this in going into this game is that this is a run funnel defense, the Kansas City Chiefs, especially with a rookie quarterback in his first start. They probably just wanted to make it easy on him, run the ball. They ran the ball, fucking 40 times this game? Like, I don't think they're running the ball that much going forward. I do expect it to be a run-heavy offense because Justin Herbert can run too. And if he's on your waiver wire and he's going up against an easy matchup, he's streamable because this dude can run and he has a big arm that lends itself to big plays, and especially when you have a receiver like Mike Williams who gets downfield and stuff like that, and Eckler who can take a screen pass to the house and all that stuff. I think Justin Herbert's going to be a viable fantasy option in good matchups. And I actually think he upgrades the Chargers passing offense, believe it or not. I think I was really worried about their passing offense, like Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry and stuff. Like, I think he's better than Tyrod Taylor already.
And I'm going to be honest. From what I saw, I don't think it's really all that close. I think
I don't either. Tyrod Taylor looked like Jeff Driscoll played better than Tyrod Taylor last week.
Yeah, he did. The Chargers' upcoming games, they've got Carolina next week, which is great. That's the game where he should have started, ideally, because Tyrod, if things went all to plan in the almighties of no injuries, Tyrod would have finished this game with a horrible stat line. They would have gotten blown out. And they would have been like, all right, Justin Herbert, you're coming in for the Carolina game.
Which is more difficult, to be honest, than what ended up happening because the Chiefs got caught off guard with this.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
Tyrod was supposed to start this game. They didn't bench Tyrod. He had a chest injury or something before the game, and Herbert got in there. I don't see how there's any way they don't go, yeah, this kid's playing.
What I do recommend, though, is after this Carolina week, he has the Bucs and then New Orleans, which are going to be terrible. But wait, next 3 games, fantastic. Jets, at Miami, Jacksonville, and Las Vegas. So that's 3 home games and going to Miami, which not really all that hard of a place to play at.
Yeah.
That's really, really good. And playoffs, he's got Atlanta in week 14, at Las Vegas, and Denver. Is this crazy to say that if Justin Herbert starts figuring things out, he
might win Rookie of the Year, man.
He seriously, he could. He really could. And he could win you fantasy weeks, and he could win you important fantasy weeks with these schedules because the Chargers schedule, and it's why Eckler is so sexy to me, is this schedule is not good. As far as playoff, they're going to roll. They have a really good chance of winning a lot of games down the stretch, and they have a lot of easy holes in their schedule. Justin Herbert could be real.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Bucs and the Saints. That'll be the time to buy Austin Eckler, I think. If Austin Eckler, because he might have down games in those weeks because those are 2 of the best 3 run defenses in the league, along with the Steelers. I think those are the top 3 run defenses in the league: the Bucs, the Saints, and the Steelers. And Austin Eckler playing those 2 guys, if he doesn't catch a lot of balls, he might be a really good buy low target at that point. So as you mentioned, we went super long with this. Sorry, there was a lot that happened in this week. There was a lot of injuries, a lot of surprises. Dallas Cowboys somehow not choking, but the Falcons doing it, so it makes sense. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit the button that looks like this, leave a like, go check out everything that Tyler's doing. If you want to plug yourself real quick.
Sporter.site, please check it out. Looking for writers as well, DM me, Tyler Moss NFL on Twitter, or just follow me, Tyler Moss.
Sorry, Honey Lemon to DK Metcalf over Stephon Gilmore from Russell Wilson, and that is why he is going to be the MVP.
Gotcha. What's the score update in that right before we kick out?
It is 14-13, pending extra point.
All righty. So there you go. Tag game in that one. That's going to be a fun one. Hopefully you enjoy that. Enjoy your Monday night games. Make sure you come back for the live stream Monday. These boys are doing. They're fantastic. They're grinders here. We love them.
Yep. All right. So, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell icon so that you get notified when we go live and when we post videos, because we don't really have a set schedule of doing things because, we're all busy. We're in school and all that stuff. But, yeah, we're on the grind for 2,000 subscribers. We're hoping to get there before, Halloween. Let's set a realistic goal. Let's try and get to 2,000 before Halloween. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, comment any of your thoughts down below, and enjoy your Monday, guys. Hopefully you did not have Saquon Barkley.